Welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. And this week, once again, we're talking about a Comic-Con, but it's one where I'm gonna be at, so that makes it even better. Cue the music! Hello there, Capers, and as I said, welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. My name is Scott James Merridew, and this is the show where we talk about various geek and nerd related topics, and are joined each week by a very special different guest. Now, this week, we're joined by a guy. He is, I guess, one of the people that runs Leamington Comic-Con, as well as Spartown Comics. Capers, give it up for Dan Mallier!
Cool. Thank you for having me on.
Not at all. Did I get the name right?
You did indeed, yes.
Yes!
It's pretty good for the first time. So, congratulations. Well done. Well done.
I'm so proud of myself. I really am. So, Dan, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah, it's a bit chilly where I'm based, but apart from that, it's all good. All good. Busy working on comic convention stuff at the moment. So, as we're only kind of 4 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks away, there's lots of bits to get done between now and then. All the little bits that I've been putting off.
Lots of T's to dot and I's to cross.
Absolutely.
Oh, God. So I think let's just dive right into it and talk about Leamington Comic-Con. So, how did you get into organising a whole comic convention?
Well, I think I must be mad, to be honest, now that I've done it. But no, it kind of started. It started back at the end of 2013, where I went to Nerdfest that became Nottingham Comic-Con, and I kind of just thought I went there just as a punter, and I was kind of a few days after I'd been, I was driving to work, and I thought actually I could do this in my hometown. And
it seems easy. I could have a shot at
it. yeah. How naive I was. So I kind of thought about I'm going to do it. Didn't talk to my wife about it at all. Set up some social media pages just to see what happened, and it kind of really snowballed from that point. If I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's often the way it goes. Just like, I've got a nice little idea. Next thing you know, you're running like this huge organisation or this huge campaign or whatever.
All from a bedroom as well. So we kind of call it a bedroom Comic-Con, really. So there's not an army of people. It's just me and my wife that organise it.
So how did she react when she found out, though?
Well, we'd only just had our... No, we were just coming up to. So I'm just trying to get the dates right now. So we'd only just had our first son, so you can kind of imagine how she reacted when I came home and said that I was thinking about running a comic convention.
The baby is crying, Dan. The baby is crying and lying in its own filth, and this is what you've been doing.
Yeah, it was a bit, not quite that dramatic, but it was a tut and a roll of the eyes, and then she looked at me.
What do you like?
Yeah, and then she looked at me and went, "You're bloody serious, aren't you?" And I said yes. And then it kind of went from there. So, and here we are back in 2018, and we're still going. So,
still going strong. That's great. So, let's talk about that very first con. Now, what went into? Obviously, you say you organised and stuff like that, but from your bedroom. But what's the timeline of events? Give me the rundown.
It was in February 2014 is when I kind of thought of the idea. So, I'd set up the social media pages just to gauge the interest, which there was straight away. There was some interest in that, so we were kind of thinking about then how are we going to fund it. So we'd come up with the idea of launching a crowdfunding campaign to kind of build interest. We very much wanted it to be a community event, so kind of going down the crowdfunding route kind of fitted nicely with that idea. And so we had the kind of 30 days of pain going through a Kickstarter, which I'll never do that again. And we were successfully funded. It was really everybody took to it, and it was we'd smashed our target.
So was there not a lot of conventions in or around Leamington beforehand?
Only kind of, you'd have to kind of go, the closest would be the events in Birmingham, like you've got the MCM, which is on this weekend, and then you had ICE, the kind of nearest one as well. So Birmingham was ICE, and then you had Caption in Oxford, but that was actually kind of the organisers were kind of running that convention down. So there was a kind of nice little region where we could put on a local kind of community comic event.
Yeah, so it's a nice, as you say, nice little window of opportunity for you there. And plus, it gives people the option of not having to go to Birmingham, which is always nice.
Absolutely, yes, definitely. And Leamington's quite an affluent town, so you've got the kind of Warwick University close by. It's quite a cultural town, so it kind of...
Any place with the word spa in the title.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's not quite as posh as it sounds, but it is a nice place.
Oh, it was close to Oxford. I mean, I used to live there. I lived in Oxfordshire for ages, ever since I was 11 till 18, and I never heard of any conventions. I mean, I didn't end up going to my convention till like London in like 2013, 2014, something like that.
Okay.
But it's so annoying that there was something I maybe could have gone to, but
No. I mean, it's kind of, you know, since kind of 2012, 2013 time, they're kind of there's a comic convention everywhere now, isn't there? I mean, you can't go a weekend without events clashing, and every kind of town has kind of got a comic related event at the moment. So you're certainly sport for choice now if you like that kind of thing.
Which we definitely do. We like there being sport for choice. It's what we love. So, I mean, I can imagine there's so many different moving parts. Just outline from us what the various things you would have to organise in order to get your own con out and rolling.
Well, the thing is, once we'd kind of smashed our kind of crowdfunding target, we were good to go. So, kind of, it was very much from a standing start. So, kind of being honest, you kind of end up becoming a bit of like a hunter-gatherer because we've not, you know, haven't had a background in comics before, don't have a network of comic creators or artists. So what I ended up doing was kind of going to various events around the country to try and sell the event to people that may want to attend.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I probably visited about somewhere in the region of about 8 to 10 conventions before Leamington was going to happen.
Just over the course of a couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just to build up the network, talk to people about what I was planning to do. Some people were kind of quite surprised that I was doing something in Leamington. But yeah, I kind of just built up a network of people and convinced a number of people to take a punt and book a table at our first show. So that's kind of how it started. So that was kind of real.
So you weren't just going after like the people like milling around. You're also going after the creators, the people on the panels and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'd kind of, you know, for example, I'd go to MCM and then I'd go to talk to people within the comics village, and I kind of had some homemade flyers and bits and pieces that I did at the start. Looking back on that, I think, wow, I'm surprised anybody went for it. But
I did the drawings myself in crayon.
Yeah, probably not far wrong, to be honest. So yeah, I kind of really just had to sell it to people around what I was planning to do, that it was a community event. The kind of thing that we've kept to since the beginning is that we're a comic convention in a traditional sense. So it's about comic books. So it's not an event that has media, TV, you know, film.
Get out of here, you video game pundits and all those people. We're talking like print here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and that kind of seemed to kind of resonate with a lot of people that we were speaking to. So yeah, I managed to convince a number of people to book a table. I'd only had 24 exhibitors at the first show, so it was very, very small. But I didn't have any trouble convincing people to book a table.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're always going to start off small, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And then you build up it from there. So, yeah. What about the next one, the next con, and what did you do bigger next time?
Yeah, well, with the next event then, so we ended up booking a much larger venue. So bearing in mind, we had 24 exhibitors at the first con, and we had just under 1,000 people turn up in a small venue. So we kind of weren't quite expecting that many people, if I'm honest with you. But
foiled by your own success. Oh my god.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got more adventurous the second year, then booked a larger venue in Leamington Spa. But what that ended up doing was bringing its own challenges, because this venue then had multiple floors, which the previous event had just was one room with a perimeter of exhibitors. Whereas moving to a much larger venue with multiple floors then becomes a completely different animal to try and run. But but the event was still a kind of success, even though we probably we learnt some harsh lessons in there. Maybe there were more things we weren't happy with that event that maybe people didn't necessarily see, but in kind of hindsight we do completely differently. But we ended up.
That's a good mark of success, though, that you were able to keep any flaws, things that you weren't happy with,
Yeah.
hidden from the punters and stuff like that, and just something they say, okay, this is something that I would do better next time.
Yeah, and every year we've kind of there's always things that kind of don't go to plan, or things you don't like, and we make sure that we tackle those things every time. So every event we've done has become slicker and slicker and slicker, and that's kind of the key to it, really. And I think that's why people keep coming back.
And so, how many conventions now are you up to? This upcoming one next month. What number con will that be?
That will be our fourth. So it's the fourth Comic-Con that we've done so far, and every
it's your
time.
Tom Baker.
Absolutely, yeah. But we've had a different venue every time, so I'm kind of like a bit of a glutton for punishment. That instead of kind of becoming familiar with a venue, I keep changing it, and then having to keep learning about that venue as I go. So I kind of don't do myself any favours with that, if I'm honest.
It keeps you on your toes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually you'll hit the sweet spot when you've run out of venues, when you've exhausted every single building in Leamington.
I think I pretty much, from a kind of putting on a comic event, I think where I've got this event at the All Saints Parish Church in Leamington. This will be assuming that everything goes to plan and I continue to do the events, this will be the venue where it stays now. I don't have the appetite to keep moving it around. I'm not on tour. I want to just stay somewhere and kind of make that our home.
The road gets wearying after a while. So if you had to give any sort of advice to anyone else that wanted to organise their own convention, what advice would you give?
I think first of all, my advice would be create your own identity. So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do with that event? Is it a community event? Is it a cash cow? Is it so with our event, we've always kind of worked to this ethos of comics, creativity, and community. So everything that we do has to fit within those three things. So, which is why we don't deviate from that and do media and other things. It's always got to be about comics. Or art. It's got to be about promoting local talent within the community, and then the creativity as well, by having a kind of strong small press presence and giving those guys a platform to kind of shine. And we don't deviate away from that, even though we'd probably make a lot more money if we did.
Because then that will be betraying who you are and your
Yes,
identity, the spirit.
Yes, absolutely. It is. That's it. And it's kind of within all of our flyers and things and our banners and stuff. The key thing is around on which we have plastered across all of our images is keeping Comic-Con about comics. So we're quite passionate
comics
about
creativity community.
Yeah, and we're really passionate about keeping it that way.
Brilliant. So, I mean, talking of the community, so what you sort of about supporting local artists. What sort of things have you done within the community and stuff like that?
We've done so we always make sure that we've got a heavy presence of local small press comic creators. So the Leamington Spa's close to Coventry, Birmingham, places like that. So we make sure that we've got a kind of heavy presence of local creators, and we've carried that on again this year. We've done a number of events in the local community with hosting free comic book day at Leamington Library, and we've given away something like 3,500 comic books in the last 3 years. Just by donating, by having donations into the library or hosting free comic book day, and we do all of that stuff. We fund all of that stuff ourselves, just to to kind of grow what we're doing, and then kind of encourage people to get involved with comics and what we're trying to do. And we've done other things as well, like we ran a competition called Small Press Factor, where we got small press creators to submit their comic books, and then the prize was to win a table at Leamington Comic-Con. And it's those kind of things. It's all around kind of promoting the medium, giving people a platform and a chance to kind of shine.
So I think that's brilliant, because not only are you supporting people that are actually working within the industry, but you're also inspiring people who may one day be working in the industry. So you're keeping the cycle going.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons with our event why we have kids go free, and every event that we've done is under 13s get into the event for free with a paying adult. It's because
take that, Disneyland.
Yeah, we want to kind of encourage a new generation of comic creators or artists, and unless they're being exposed to the kind of how cool and awesome the medium is, you kind of worry that over time it will fizzle out, as there's so many distractions these days with games and Netflix and cinema and all of that stuff. It's we really want to kind of encourage children to appreciate the medium.
Yeah, because this is something that, when I was growing up, I loved the films and the video games, but I also loved reading prose and loved reading comics and stuff like that. So I liked that there was so much available to me, and that's only strengthened as I got older. And I think it's important to remind kids that there are so many different things out there that are all equally enjoyable, and people will always have their preferences, but you can't ever say or make sure that people are limited in any way.
No, like absolutely, definitely, and it is, it's kind of, for us, it's such there is so many different distractions, but actually, comics for children in a kind of age where children particularly have got short attention spans, and where you've got kind of literacy declining in schools and things like that. I think for us, we see it as a kind of fundamental thing to do. Is to kind of encourage people to read, be creative, not just sit on tablets or watching Netflix and things like that, because I don't necessarily see how that being very productive, and I think it's important that we kind of try and break that mold.
Yeah, because you can learn a lot from comic books, because not only are you reading something and you're experiencing like the literary side of it, but you're also reading something that's a visual art form. And you can really appreciate stuff like that. I learned a lot from watching not just like superhero comics when I was a kid, but also reading stuff like Asterix and Tintin and stuff like that, aside from, the racist bits.
Which nobody noticed when they were younger, did they?
No, you didn't. I just he's going off on an adventure with Captain Haddock. Yay! It's amazing. You can learn a lot from it. You can learn appreciation from it. And I think it's a good thing, because, I'm a bit of a crusader on this show for things that I think are bad for kids. Fucking Disney! Yeah. But
yeah. So
I always appreciate when someone takes the time to actually push something that's really good for kids within an art form or within any sort of medium, and just making sure that they're not just entertained, but they're... Because that's the thing. I think if you're going to show kids something, anything, whether it be a comic or a film or whatever, it's not just to shut them up for half an hour or whatever. It's so they get something out of it, not just to give mum and dad a break. It's nice that mum and dad get a break, but you've got to do something constructive with your kids' time.
No, absolutely, yeah, definitely. And my son is 5 this year, and he's obviously been he's been brainwashed into liking comics, but he loves kind of us reading Batman comics to him. He loves the Phoenix comic book as well. Which we buy him on a regular basis, and he's really got into the kind of medium as well, and he loves to kind of cuddle in against you while you're reading comic books to him. And it's a great thing to be doing with your children, and not just have them sat quiet on an iPad.
Yeah, my dad, when I was a kid, he would always read to me. I think he actually enjoyed it more than I did. Although it got to the point where my parents gave me Harry Potter, and I said, "Dad, can you read this with me?" And he was like, "Sure, absolutely." "Oh, there's no pictures. Now you're on your own." Okay, fine. I guess it's up to me then.
No, absolutely.
So it's always nice, because often when we look at medium, any sort of medium, it can be often a very isolationist sort of thing, like you're watching something you're on, but it's often a better when it's a shared experience, which is, I think, the whole ethos of any Comic-Con. It's a shared experience with lots of people coming together to enjoy the things that they love.
No, absolutely, and we, with our events, it is comics. It is, it's promoting comics. It's promoting artwork. We do have lots of kids' activities with kids' workshops, colouring tables and bits and pieces like that. We have like our kind of annual cosplay competition for adults and for children. So you kind of, by having that kind of kids go free kind of policy, you've kind of, we hope to encourage the dads that loved comic books that maybe as they've got older have kind of fallen out of love with it or are looking to get back into it. Plus, allowing them to have some kind of family time where they're enjoying the comic books, but the kids are also enjoying being there as well, and that's kind of quite important for us.
And then the parents can re-experience all these things through their kids and through their kids' eyes. I think that's brilliant. And so, talking about the cosplay contest, let's talk about that. So, have you done that with every convention so far?
Yeah, every convention we've had a cosplay competition. So we have an adults category, so 16 plus, and then an under 16 category, and we have a engraved trophy made every year. And it's a really kind of fun part of the event where kind of encourage people to create their own costumes. Again, fitting into that kind of creativity ethos. So, kind of, we're not talking about buying something for 20 quid off eBay. We're talking, kind of people that have gone away and crafted their costume. So we end up with kind of having a cosplay parade / catwalk while we kind of grade the effort, the quality, the build, the likeness, and all of those things to award an adult and a children's cosplay champion, which we've done at every event so far. So that kind of is a very popular part of what we do.
So what's some of the best cosplays you've seen so far? Like, what have some of the winners been?
In the first year we had a chap who works he works at a cobbler's, and he made from leather a Batman Beyond suit, handmade, and it's absolutely, I'll send you a picture of it and then you can maybe tweet it out after the pod. Completely handmade it, and it is just absolutely unbelievable. And we thought, we're going to have the cosplay competition. As soon as this chap walked in, we were like, well, I don't think there's anybody else can take this trophy home, if I'm honest with you.
It's a man dressed as Batman Beyond. That's a tricky thing to come up with under the best of circumstances.
Yeah, and it all handmade and from leather, and it's unbelievable costume. And then we've actually become friends since that event as well, which is so he comes to every show now, but not to enter the cosplay competition, but to wear his Batman costume and help us kind of promote the event.
Leamington Comic-Con, bringing people together.
Well, that's what we try to do.
Absolutely, I love it. I love that you've got this whole policy with kids and everything. I'm sure when I go there, the kids are going to fucking love me.
Well, I'm sure they will if you use that kind of language.
Oh dear. I'm going to have to watch myself.
That's okay.
So, I mean, what have some have been, not just cosplay, but just generally, what have been some of your best experiences either at your con or at any other con?
Well, when we did the first kind of event, having nearly 1,000 people at a small event, kind of really kind of blew us away. But kind of from the kind of most memorable point from that day is actually had a young girl cosplayer who she suffered from anxiety, but came up to me at the end of the event and hugged me and said, thank you for putting this event on in my hometown. It's been the best day of my life. And I'm like, Jesus, I wasn't expecting it to, have that much of an impact on people, but it clearly did. And that kind of stands out, from our first event as something that kind of still hits me now, if I'm honest.
I'm not crying, it's just raining inside. Oh, God. Oh, that's so awesome.
I know.
That's a really nice thing. I love hearing about stuff like that, and I've talked with people that have been to cons and who've had really great experiences with kids and other people. And have you seen that video recently of Gal Gadot with a young girl dressed as Wonder Woman? The girl has a really emotional reaction, and it's
Absolutely.
So cool.
It's amazing if you can have that kind of impact on people. Then you kind of, for us, it really kind of backs up why we, and just, it makes all of the effort that goes on to putting the event together worthwhile if it has that kind of impact on people. It is, it's something unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, what could be better than seeing joy on a child's face? It's awesome. It really is. It's a really good thing you're doing. And so, before we go any further, it's time to plug something. Do you want to learn how to make comics? You're looking for something to help you get you started in the comic book industry? Well, you're in fucking luck, because Neil Gibson, editor and head writer at TPub Comics, brought you titles like Twisted Dark, Tabitha, and Theatrics, is doing just that. Neil is offering a free webinar for anyone that wants to learn the TPub method for making comics. If you like the webinar, you can sign on to his web course and use the code CAPE, that's capital C, capital A, capital P, capital E, to get a 5% discount. You'll learn everything from how to write a comic script all the way through to how to market your final product. So even if you can't draw, this course will help you break into the comic industry. So sign up for the webinar at tpub.co.uk/free-webinar, or use the link in the show notes and use the code CAPE if you want to sign up for the course. Now then, I think it's time we talk about the upcoming event. What's going to be going on in April 14th at the Comic-Con?
Right, okay, so kind of keeping in line with what we've said, we're going to have tons of comics, cosplay, art, workshops, talks. You guys are doing a live pod, which is absolutely fantastic at the event. But we've got a real...
You say that, it may all go horribly wrong.
I'm sure it'll be okay. I've had the guys from the Awesome Comic Podcast doing a live pod before, and I think we ended up with people with pitchforks at the event. So hopefully you don't go to that kind of level.
Dear God, the Disney fans have come! Run!
But no, we've got what we try to do is kind of build on the previous events. So we've kind of, what we believe, we put on an absolutely kind of stellar lineup of comic creators this year. So we've got Judge Dredd co-creator John Wagner attending.
Yay! Really like his stuff. Jeez.
Oh, absolutely. We've got Marvel writer Al Ewing. So he's done stuff like US Avengers, Rocket, Loki, all comics like that, which is so we're kind of kicking off with two real kind of, household names when it comes to comic books in this country. And then we've got Sarah Grayley, who's the writer and creator of Kim Reaper. We've got John Davis Hunt, who's the artist of the Wildstorm. He's also done a lot of work for 2000 AD as well.
Brilliant.
The highly energetic Esrington brothers that have done that. A lot of their work can be seen in the Phoenix kind of children's comics, so they're kind of well worth checking out, especially if you're bringing young children to the event. And then you've got Jade Gunn, who's the writer of Surface Tension that was published by Titan Comics. So kind of from a kind of guest standpoint, we've kind of really taken it up a level this year from the previous events. But then we've also got tons of small press comic creators as well. With the likes of people like Dan Butcher, creator of Vanguard. You've just done an ad there for Neil Gibson and TPub. So Neil's at the event again, and Neil's TPub have been to every convention that we've done so far. So those guys are kind of really supportive of what we do.
Yeah, we love TPub over here.
Absolutely, me too. It's Twisted Dark is actually my favourite comic book.
Oh, really? Ooh.
Yeah, it was. As soon as I read it, I got hooked on it, and it kind of got me back into love with comic books again. But yeah, we've got tons: Hellbound Media, Good Comics, Rachel Smith, Daryl Thorpe, Paul Rainey. I mean, we've got a list as long as our arm of awesome independent creators alongside the kind of mainstream guests as well that we've got. So it's kind of going to be a packed day of comic creators this year.
Sounds brilliant. I mean, we love Rachel Smith over here. We've had her on the show before, and it's great that she'll be there. And we do love indie creators on this show. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. It'll be great. And we all know the rule, Capers. If you stop at someone's booth, you have to buy something. If you stop, you buy.
Absolutely, yeah, and I would back that up 100%.
So, talking about comics, so what comics, just sort of in your time, have you been reading lately?
Recently, I've kind of, generally speaking, I tend to go more towards the independent and small press stuff. Mm-hmm. So, although when I was younger, I used to read, kind of a lot of Batman and things like that. I've kind of fallen out of love with that once I found kind of small press and independent stuff. So kind of, as I've mentioned, Twisted Dark would be my kind of number one comic series. Also a big fan of like the Samurai Slasher by Mike Garley, or Vanguard by Dan Butcher. It's that kind of, I prefer the kind of indie small press scene these days as I've got older.
You matured. You got more
Absolutely.
refined, sophisticated tastes.
Well,
Fucking Batman.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I still enjoy kind of Batman, but I don't find myself kind of moving towards that anymore. But then, for outside of the small press, if I'm going to kind of read comics, I would generally go more towards the Image comics, to be honest, because again, it's more kind of independent, and there's more kind of, I guess, experimentation goes on with the likes of Image than within, for me, Marvel and DC, which is just a bit kind of stagnant with reboots or overcomplicated story arcs and tie-ins.
I don't fucking care about Secret Wars number 15 or whatever they're doing. I love the original one. That was like a great seminal milestone crossover thing. Awesome. And it's like, we've run out of ideas. Let's do it again. It's been like 40 fucking years, but who cares? And it's like, oh, I hate that. It's like, I really did fall out of Marvel shortly after Civil War, because there was Civil War, and then like Dark Avengers, and then Siege, and Shadowlands or whatever, and it was just like, it was too much. It was too much. I really couldn't handle that. I've gotten back into Marvel a bit recently. I've started rereading John Romita Jr. and J. Michael Straczynski's run on Spider-Man, which I really liked, and I've also just gotten into, and I can't believe I haven't discovered this earlier, Dan Slott and Mike Allred's Silver Surfer, which I recommend to anyone and everyone.
No, I've heard that. I've not read that, but I've heard that that's supposed to be really good.
It's really good because it's Silver Surfer, but it's a bit like Doctor Who as well, because he finds this Earth girl who always wears clothes that makes her look like a ladybird. It's explained in the comic. It's fine. It makes sense in the comic. And they just go off and have really cool, awesome adventures in space together. And it's a really cool thing, and it's sort of it harkens back to the whole Jack Kirby era in terms of how scientist Mike Allred. I mean, I swear that guy was born to one day draw the Silver Surfer. It's just so cool, and it was just one of those comics it's Marvel and it's got characters I like, but at the same time, it's very insular and self-contained. It's not like crossing over with all these other people. They're doing all these sort of things. I mean, it did at one point later on cross over with Spider-Man a bit, and he's got this new suit and stuff, and there's something about Parker Industries, and it's just like, no, I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't care. Can we just go back to Silver Surfer and just going off and having adventures, please? Can we just do that?
I agree. It's kind of, I prefer the kind of self-contained stories, because I just don't have the time to keep kind of, to invest in reading it and then trying to keep up with all of the crossovers and tie-ins and things. I can't make the time to kind of read it, sit down and do it. And there's probably a bit that I'm probably not bright enough to keep up with it either in terms of how it crosses over.
There's so many tie-ins and stuff. There's like Civil War number 1.5 / Deadpool or whatever. And it's not just the time, but it's also the money. If you want the complete story with all these characters, that most of which probably isn't really necessary, and you don't not need it for context, you got to sink so much money into it. And it's just like, can we not just have these stories? Because that's why I prefer Marvel from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even 90s. Because, there was a couple of crossovers here and there, and a couple of tie-ins, and like, see Doctor Strange's issue for more details. But like, it wasn't necessary. And you could just have fun with these characters and see them go on their journey and grow and develop. And now you need to visit the wiki every other page just to figure out what the hell is going on.
Well, a lot of the publishers, they've started bringing out kind of like PDFs now for comic shops. So it kind of maps out how everything all ties together, which if you're having to do that, then and it's not self-explanatory, then that should, kind of show that it's too confusing for people, and it's there's just too much of it to try and keep up. But
it's bad for people who love these characters and big established fans. It's even harder for new fans, people who are just getting into comics. I mean, I dread to think if I was a kid reading this stuff, I would have a clue what was going on.
No, I get it. I get it completely.
Because when I was
Yeah, completely get that for you.
when I was a kid, the Marvel stuff I read like two main things. Was I got like these big, huge reprints of the old Spider-Man comics, like going right from the start, like Essential Spider-Man, stuff like that. I just read that, and later on I read Ultimate Spider-Man, which again was just like this, again, self-contained, insular, just sort of retelling of Spider-Man. And so that worked for me. And it's great for me as a kid. And now I look at this stuff and it's just like, I mean, it's not that the stories are even that bad. I mean, I love like House of M and stuff like that. That was really good. Civil War, not so much. But it's like Captain America shouldn't act like that. But I digress.
No. Have you read? I've read Welcome Back, Frank. The Punisher by Steve Dillon and Garth Ennis, so the guys that did Preacher, and that's a kind of standalone story, and that's the kind of first time I've sat down and read a Marvel comic for as long as I can remember. And it was absolutely fantastic, but it's standalone.
Yeah, it's just it's within a shared universe and everything, and it's got all this character backstory, but it's just a story. This is why I think the Netflix shows work so well, because as much as they are part of a bigger thing, they're standalone thing, focusing on these characters and their journey and development. This is why they work, guys. Marvel, DC, are you paying attention? We've got the answers over here.
But it's kind of why I ended up. I stopped watching things like Arrow and stuff on TV, because as soon as it starts tying in with Flash and other things, it's like the comic book problem. I don't have the time to sit and watch all of these shows.
I mean, and then you can skim read comics. You can't sink 40 minutes plus into a TV show like every other day. It's too much.
Yeah. No. I just kind of lost interest in it now, so I don't generally. I stopped watching Arrow about midway through season 4, I think, and haven't been back to it because there were just too many spin-offs and too many things going on, and again, I think I just lacked the brain power to be able to process it all, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Although I think we could all agree, no matter how you feel about Arrow and Flash and the Netflix series from Marvel and stuff like that, they're all fucking better than a lot of the cartoons going on right now. Fuck you, Teen Titans Go! Fuck you, Marvel Spider-Man! You're all shit!
I've not seen any of those, so I'll take your word for it.
Don't! I mean, I knew. Like, I saw the trailer, like a teaser trailer for the new Spider-Man cartoon, which was replacing an already crap Spider-Man cartoon, Ultimate Spider-Man, rant about that another day. And I just thought, wow, this looks cheap. The animation quality is so poor. And then I watched a couple of bit of it, watched excerpts. Can't speak today, goddamn. And it's so bad on every single level. I mean, the voice acting is good because, there's so many great voice actors working today, but everything from the characters to the animation to the action scenes to the plot to everything is just so substandard, and it makes me angry because in the past, however you feel about cartoons or Spider-Man or whatever, there were so many good things. MTV Spider-Man, the 1990 series even though it's a bit dated now. The goddamn spectacular Spider-Man!
No, I used to love watching, I can't remember what channel it was on now, but you used to have on Saturday mornings the Marvel Action Hour.
Like Fantastic Four, X-Men.
Yeah, and all that stuff. And that was absolutely, I used to love those shows as a kid, but I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen them for a while, so I don't know kind of how, whether they've aged particularly well
they have
now.
Not. They have.
All
give
of that
DC
stuff was
credit.
fantastic.
I'll give DC credit. All of its cartoons, most of its cartoons at least, have aged pretty well. But the Marvel ones, not so much. But you can appreciate them for what you are. And I'll just be honest, the animation was good. It was good hand-drawn animation, not this cheap, tacky Flash stuff, which is in everything nowadays. Yeah. And it's boring. I'm done talking about it, honestly. Okay, so I want to talk... Going back to comics, what we're here to fucking talk about, let's talk about Spartown Comics. Now, this came after Leamington Con.
It did, yes. So, kind of, again, fitting in with that kind of ethos of comics, creativity and community. What we thought about doing, so... is we wanted to kind of create a hub for comic books. So we set up kind of, that's where Spartown came from. So we thought, we where our thinking was, it's kind of as a standalone comic shop, unless you've got tons and tons of money, is not a great business idea. Because the with what you have to do with Diamond and the kind of the profit margins in comic books are pretty non-existent really.
Unless it's something like Forbidden Planet, which is
Yeah.
comics and all sorts of other tat, which I really want but can't afford. Oh, so tempting.
Yeah, but they do, and also as well, they're buying so much that they get such huge discounts that kind of small independent shops could never kind of even dream of getting anywhere near the kind of discounts that the likes of Forbidden Planet get. So we thought about creating Spartown to have a as a kind of hub, and then branching off from that, you'd have Leamington Comic-Con. Like we said, we were working with the library on things like Free Comic Book Day. We were doing drink and draw events and stuff like that. So we wanted to try and create a kind of a comic shop, but then with all of these kind of events going on around it to create a real kind of community around comic books within Leamington. So what we ended up doing was working in a leasing a like a stall within a shopping centre in Leamington and working, providing comic books and subscriptions and things from that base, and then having the events around the edges.
Is this like what's called a pop-up shop?
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, it's like a RMU they call it. So it's like a retail merchandising unit or something like that.
Pop-up shop is more fun to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pop-up shop.
And
Pop-up shop.
So it's sat within the Royal Prize Shopping Centre in Leamington. So that we're not doing that now because we've taken it all of the Spartown comics as an online thing, but we're still active in the community with our events and other things. Plus we partnered up with a comic shop in Banbury called Comic Connection. So now between us we do lots of community events and kind of provide a really good kind of comic service to people in the surrounding areas.
Finally, someone has a reason to go to Banbury. Not a fan of Banbury. I'm not a fan of most places, to be honest. I'm quite a moody person, in case you hadn't noticed.
I'm the same, so don't worry.
So the online shop, how's that going? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, no, it's very good. We've kind of built because the Comic-Con had been going since 2014. We've kind of got a lot of credibility now when it comes to comic books. So, we've got a real strong kind of customer base offering, subscription services for comics, and with kind of good discounts, and also as well if you're a sub customer you get discounts to Leamington Comic-Con and other things. So kind of it's been going kind of really well. It's it just, being honest, it just became, because the profit margins are so low on comics, it's unless you've got tons and tons of capital to keep throwing at it, it's you just can't make enough money if you're renting somewhere like in an expensive town like Leamington. So we thought, well, let's take it online. We can still provide a good service to our customers. Plus, we're still doing all of our events around the edges.
Yeah, it's like the same ethos they have of you learn from the first thing you do and you move on to the second one. And so you took what you could from the pop-up shop and you took that into the online shop. Yeah,
so that's kind of it. Yeah, absolutely. And doing it for a fraction of the outgoings that the pop-up shop was doing. So yeah, so no, we're still very active in providing comics to people in Leamington and the surrounding areas.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. So have you gotten the community involved in the online shop? Let's talk about supporting local people with the con. How are you doing that with the shop?
Again, like with things like we've been doing drink and draw events, and we've been donating comic books to local community groups and things like that as well. So kind of we still get involved within those things. So although we haven't got the pop-up shop, we're still, we donate comic books to local events and charities and other things as well. We're still doing things like drink and draw events. We do monthly previews nights in a pub in Leamington. So get people to come in, browse the previews catalogues, suggest comics to them, get people to order. So we're still very active working with local businesses, like local pubs that let us, use their rooms free to do previews nights and things like that, put on promotions for our customers and other things like that. A lot of local businesses are willing to take our flyers and posters for our events and things. So it's all very supportive.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear. I'm very intrigued by this drink and draw thing.
Yeah, that's been good fun. We've done, I think we've done 4 of those now. So what we do is basically hire a room in a pub. We get some local artists in, comic artists, and then we put some food on, so burger, fries, people have a drink. We have kind of drawing games and get people to chat and sketch and do things and stuff. And it's a really good kind of community event that we do around it. So again, it kind of encourages people to be creative and draw, and that kind of fitting in with that creativity ethos that we've got.
Yeah, because it means it's fun for the people who draw, or either professionally or amateurishly,
Yeah.
but also people who, as they haven't done that sort of thing before. It'd be fun.
No, absolutely, and we get some. We've done things where people have had artists have had GoPros, so we're projecting it on a screen, and then people are watching it live on screen. There's an artist drawing and the processes and stuff that they're going through, and they give their kind of talk, providing a commentary as they're going and giving people tips and stuff. It's good fun. It's a good laugh, and but it's also as well, some people are kind of taking quite a lot away from it to kind of sharpen up their own skills.
Yeah, as long as people aren't drinking too much, I can imagine that could lead to a few awkward scenarios.
Yeah, no, it's just some people like to have a little bit more than others, but yeah, it's all good
Look,
fun.
darling, I'm drawing boobs. No, stop that! I can't take you anywhere nice.
Yeah, we haven't had that yet, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. And so, I'm trying to think what else we can talk about. Oh, let's talk about what we've all liked to hear about. Me! Let's talk about what we're going to be doing on the live show. I mean, we're literally just going to be, just projecting live broadcasting live on the interwebs, while people in the audience just watch us do that.
Yeah, no, it'd be good fun. I think we should, we've always got, when we have panels and talks, we've always had good kind of audience participation and things like that. So I would say the more interactive that you guys can make it, the better.
Hands up, who likes DC? Oh, quite a few people. Get out!
Yeah. That's one approach that you could take.
No, we were all about inclusivity, I choose to look upon people that like DC with pity, that need to be helped.
So it'd be good fun. We're looking forward to having you guys there and doing a live pod. It'll be something although we've had talks and Q&As and stuff, to have a live recording. We've not done that yet, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, we just see the many ways we can fuck up on a technical basis. We'll be practicing. It'll be me and David Malowski. And I can reveal to you, Capers, and to you, Dan, I think you probably know this, but if not, you're going to find out. What we will be talking about is we'll be talking about the Phase 1 of the MCU films compared to the sort of Phase 1 of the DCEU films. And the many ways they stack up, or indeed don't stack up, to each other, all in anticipation of Infinity War that's coming right round the corner. I know there's a bit more film-based than comic-based, but I think it'll still be interesting to talk about.
No, it's all good stuff. And doesn't the trailer for Infinity War look absolutely fantastic?
I would know, because I have ordered a media blackout on all things related to Marvel and Infinity War, especially. Yesterday, I went to the cinema, and I heard, as I was about to go into the cinema to see one of the films I was going to see, I heard part of the trailer for Infinity War. I heard Thor talking. It was like, oh shit, I'm staying out here. I'm waiting. I'm Tomb Raider will wait for a second before I go see that. You seen Tomb Raider yet?
I haven't. No, not yet. I need to. There's something I do want to go and see. I need to know whether I've got to see Black Panther before I see Infinity War as well. Again, I'm not. Haven't seen Black Panther yet either. So.
Oh no! See Black Panther. Oh God! What are you even doing here? Stop recording it. Go see Black Panther. Cancel all your plans. Your kid will be fine staying home at school or whatever. Just go see Black Panther. Run away from your family and see Black Panther. Oh my God! I'm actually worried now.
I'm sold. I'll go and see it this week then.
Good. Oh, don't scare me like that, Dan.
I know. I'm guessing I do need to see it before I see Infinity War. I'm guessing I need to.
I mean, even independent of Infinity War, I would say go see it.
Okay.
It's such a good movie. I mean, it quite possibly could tie in very much into Infinity War. I don't know. I guess we'll see when Infinity War comes out. I'm excited and I'm scared. Both me and Mark Russell, also works for time, been on the pod for. We booked our tickets, so yay! They haven't run out yet. I mean, the anticipation. Oh dear God! It's like. Do you remember like when we were first waiting for the first Avengers movie?
Yeah.
It's the same anticipation. Not so much with Age of Ultron, but because I at that point like, oh, it's another Avengers film. Yay, we're looking forward to this. But you know, we're kind of used to this now. But this feels different.
No, no. Well, I got absolute pelters when the first Avengers movie came out because I on my first viewing of it, I didn't actually like it. But I have since rewatched it, and actually, I do love that film now. But on the first viewing, I wasn't a fan about it. I was quite critical of it, and I got slaughtered on social media for saying that.
I don't even know who you are anymore, Dan. I don't even know. So, what didn't you like about it at first?
No, I think it was this kind of. I think it was. I'm trying to go back now. When was that out? 2012, roughly. Yeah. I'm trying to think when it was out. I think it was more just to do with again this multi-character thing. Is my brain just can't process it. So I was very much in this kind of mindset of leave the bloody characters in their own individual films and then start throwing them all into the mix, and I just can't keep up with who's what. And then again, like with the comic books, all of the tie-ins. I think that's kind of where I was back then, but I've kind of since watched it, and then I kind of thought, no, actually, I was wrong. I was a bit too knee-jerk with that, and then in hindsight, it probably wasn't my best moment to announce to the world I hate it.
Out of all the criticisms you could have given the movie, I get that. It makes sense. I mean, there is a lot of characters thrown in the mix. If you're not familiar with these characters, or indeed if you are familiar, but you view these characters as independent of each other, it can be a bit much. Which is why I think there's a good way of doing that and a bad way of doing that. DC's way was definitely bad.
Yeah, terrible. God.
No,
but I think again, I think back when when the Avengers movie first came out, it was kind of still. I was very much kind of into the Christian Bale Batman movies, so I preferred that kind of darker feel to those films than the bright colours of the Marvel universe. So I think that was probably part of it as well. But no, I've since I've learnt the error of my ways, and I've since I'm fully on board with it and looking forward to the new movie now.
Yeah, well, I'm good too. But it's good that we hear other people's viewpoints, because I mean, A, it informs our own, and B, it's nice to think about things in a different way. I'm not going to pretend that Avengers is a perfect movie, because it's not.
No.
It's good to hear it. I mean, I really liked it the first time I've seen it, and I still like it. It's one of my favorite movies, and I'll be honest, it was one of the few movies, I think it might be the only movie, that at the end of it got a standing ovation. This is not the premiere or anything like that. It was just people going to see it in the cinema, and at the end they stood up and clapped. They weren't clapping at anyone, even.
I've never seen that before, but no, that's cool. That is cool. No, I thought from the kind of Avengers films and that kind of universe, I think it wasn't until I watched The Winter Soldier that I thought, no, that was very good. I loved that film when I came out the cinema seeing that, and then I did go back and watch the kind of the Avengers movie, and then enjoyed it, and then since that point I've been kind of fully on board with it. Apart from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, we got another Guardians hater on! Yay, love having those guys on. I get it. I'm not one of those people who say you have to like this movie, you have to like everything about it, because that's not fair. I don't like it when people say that I have to like DC movies or Disney movies, so it'd be hypocritical of me to say otherwise. As I say, we like getting different points of view on the show, even if you're wrong. Which you are.
No, yeah, absolutely. I can expect to get attacked on social media for it. It wouldn't be the first time, so I bring it on. I'm quite used to it.
Nah, you're brave, is what you are. You're brave. Spreading your opinions, it's a good thing. It's always a good thing.
I don't, there's nothing wrong with throwing the odd grenade out there from time to time, is there?
No, absolutely not. Just imagine you throwing a grenade into the Facebook feed, covering your ears, seeing how many people respond.
That's a regular occurrence.
Yeah, God. So, I mean, let's just finish up by talking about, obviously, the past cons.
Yeah.
So, you talked about different venues and stuff like that. What would you say were the biggest things that you wanted to change with each individual con? What are some of the things you learned from it?
I think the kind of the thing that takes away the well, there's a few things. It's kind of get all of the kind of big tasks that you've got to do out the way. So like early. So get your venue sorted, your tables booked, people invoice for their pictures, and get your floor plans and all of that stuff done, because they're all the kind of meaty things that take time. But actually, from a kind of stress reduction point of view, which, you know,
we can all use at this point.
Yeah, it's actually the biggest, the most useful thing that I've done since in our last show was setting up the venue the day before the event. And I can't, say enough about how much stress that takes off the thing. Because the two previous shows to last year, we had to set up the event at 8:00. We're laying tables out, and then at 10:30 the doors are opening, and you've got you're laying tables out while exhibitors are turning up, and
even 24 booths or something like that is still a lot of work.
No, it is a lot of work, yeah. And while people kind of want to know where they are, and you're still laying out tables and all of those things. So certainly, if anybody is looking at putting on their own kind of bedroom Comic-Con, as I like to call it, is agree with the venue that you set up the day before, and it will take away so much stress. It's unbelievable.
Just because you've got a plan doesn't mean all the people that are coming have a plan. But you can pretty much rely on them not having a plan.
Well, when we moved to the venue for our second show, the people who were turning up from the venue to give us the keys were 40 minutes late. So you're immediately 40 minutes behind schedule, and it's just honestly, I'd never want to go. Yeah, exactly. You just don't want to be in that situation, because it's a hell of a lot of work to do to get a venue ready for a convention. And while you're trying to do that, while people are turning up, want to know where they're sat so they can set up and all of those things, honestly, you'll live a lot longer if you set up the night before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an organisational nightmare. I can't organise anything to save my life, as indeed David Malofsky will be able to tell you. I mean, God, I remember, this wasn't really my thing, but it was something that I had the misfortune to witness. I'm a writer, and I wrote this short film with a guy, and one of the scenes of the short film featured a church. Now, there's like 150 odd churches in Edinburgh. We went through like them all just to try and get one that would let us film, and we finally got one. And I arrived at this church day of filming, because I needed to be on set that day. And I got there, and there was the director was talking with, I was about to say, one of the runners of the church, a priest. That's what they're called. And there was a bit of a consternation going on. I was like, oh, what's going on? And it turned out the guy he booked it with, obviously one of the priests, had done a runner. He had taken like several of the church admin documents and stuff like that, and he'd absconded somewhere to which we didn't know where. And so the people that were actually working there didn't know where he was. He'd fled out of the country, maybe, we don't know, and they had no idea we were coming. We still filmed the fucking scene, though.
No, that's okay. Yeah, they can be funny. They're a funny organisation to work with. I'll be honest with you. It's they're very particular about their churches, and we learnt that with a show that we did in December. We did a Star Wars themed show as a kind of standalone event, and so we've kind of got this huge church in Leamington, where Leamington Comic-Con is going to be. That's a kind of cathedral-sized church, so it's not like a small thing.
It's a cathedral city.
It's a huge place. and you've got trying to turn a church into a like an exhibition venue, and then turning it back into a church, and trying to remember where everything that you've moved went.
Can we move that plinth? You mean the font? Yes, the plinth.
And we've had to do all of that stuff, and if it's not back exactly within like 0.5 millimeter of where it was, people within the church will spot it and they will fire the shot for
the clergy are angry at me. Oh no, the people in the dog collars are angry at me. What are they going to do?
We've been on the end of that after our last show, because things were not, I thought they were in the right place, but they were slightly off by, like I say, 0.5 millimeter.
Oh, God. Gladys, get the ruler!
Yeah. So you have to. So this time, what I'm going to basically do is walk around with taking photos of everything, so I can remember where everything went. Yes, yeah.
Honestly, Vicar, that stained glass window was never there. It's always been just a big hole in the wall. Honestly. No one threw a lightsaber through it.
No, exactly. So yeah, no, I know what it's like dealing with the church, because we have to for our events.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you managed to pull it through. You've done it 3 times before. You're going to be doing it once again. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to going down there and actually seeing that. It's been ages since I've been to a con, just because I don't get out anymore, because I'm a little troll that lives in its grotto. Broadcasting these, so it's good to get out and get some fresh air.
No, absolutely. No, it'd be good fun. I'd be looking forward to you guys coming down at on the 14th of April. So it's it's been previous shows. We've loved doing it. The community and people that have attended have loved being there, and generally speaking, all the people, exhibitors and guests as well, have always enjoyed our event. So fingers crossed it will be the same this year.
With you running the show, I'm sure it will be. So, last chance capers. Remember, well, not last chance. You can still get tickets to the show. Those tickets are still available, aren't they, Dan?
Yep, yeah. They'll be on sale online, right, and up until the event.
Up until the event. So, capers, get your tickets. Do it now. We can't sell this anymore. It's going to be so much fun. You can see us there. If you get your tickets, be able to see us do a live recording of Podcapers for free. I mean, what more do you really want? I mean, they got John Wagner, they got people working for Marvel, they got all sorts of great integrations. No, let's be honest, you're coming for us.
Well, if people do want to find out more information about the show, is you can visit Spartown Comics /Lem Comic-Con, or you can go to our Facebook page, which is Lem Comic-Con. We're on Twitter and Instagram under @Lem Comic-Con. So we're constantly tweeting, posting, and shouting about our event. So if people are in the area or in and around kind of the Leamington area and want to come to an event that's just focused on comics and art and not TV and film, then we recommend kind of giving our show a go and supporting a independently run bedroom comic con, as I like to call it.
Absolutely, and we will be providing links in the show notes so you can check all those stuff out, and we can get tickets, visit Spartown Comics and all sorts, and so you can just enjoy this wonderful thing that you, Dan, have created. And thank you very much for joining me today to talk about this.
No, thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. And I look forward, Capers, to seeing all of you there. But if you enjoyed this show, please tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops, and if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes. Like, for example, a while back, we did an episode talking about ways to survive a comic convention. Little tips and tricks for you to make sure you have a great time. Check it out. And you can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, or at podcapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out the rewards, patreon.com/AP2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe you want to come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC. You can also email us at podcapers@AP2HYC.com. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone with the red and blue 3D glasses. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. Cue the music!